What is this? Some kind of walk-in war museum?
They got guts attacking in ancient suits like those.
That's why we can't let our guard down. Clearly these guys are crazier than we are.
この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。
Depending on the series, Grunts in Gundam can have it pretty rough, especially if they're outdated and out of production machines. Still, some of them manage to perform well beyond expectations, and today we're having a look at 5 of those cases. Let's start off with a short and sweet one, the Gun Cannon Heavy Custom. Essentially, the Heavy Custom was a souped-up version of the regular gun cannon. It had better armor, upgraded cannons with higher ammo capacity, a grenade rack on its left hip, and a completely overhauled high-performance backpack to offset the additional bulk, and then some. Despite its overall satisfactory performance, tests still showed that it was lacking in mobility, resulting in only a small production run, and further research resulting in the Gun Cannon 2. However, this did not stop one Gun Cannon Heavy Custom from wiping the floor with a Nemo during the attack on Jaburo during the Grips War. A mighty feat from such a bulky machine. When the attack on Torrington Base took place during the Laplace incident, many antique machines joined in. The Afreech Knight, the Wage, Desert Zaku, Dom Tropin, and many more units performed admirably despite their age. But the one that stood out the most to me was the Zaku One Sniper. The original Zaku One was state-of-the-art when it was rolled out, in Universal Century 0074. As a result, by the time the one-year war broke out in Universal Century 0079, this machine was relegated to mostly non-combat duties. However, Zeon's increasing attrition rates meant that many would be pushed back into the front line. Some as is, some modified, as was the case with the Zaku One Sniper. Its head was upgraded with the same type of mono-eye and sensor array as used by the Zaku Reconnaissance type, and it received a completely new backpack with a dedicated generator for the beam sniper rifle. Other small modifications included a special knee pad on the right knee to make kneeling easier, and a pair of head-mounted Vulcans. These modifications turned the humble Zaku One into a formidable support unit, as shown by Yonem Kirks many years later. He was able to score many precise hits from a fat uncle transfer plane until he was finally taken out by 3 state-of-the-art Jestas. And as for all those other old clunkers that Neo Zeon remnants were using, they were completely decimated by the Byerland Custom. The funny thing about the next machine is that it was originally deployed as a supposedly brand new high-performance machine rather than a slightly updated 5-year-old prototype. I'm of course talking about the Zeta. It featured incredible performance for the time that it was created in, and still held up relatively well when it was deployed. Although, arguably, much of its overwhelming performance can be attributed to their intimidation factor and their pilots who dared to push these machines to their limits. In fact, they managed to pilot these old machines so well that their biggest threat was overheating from the engine and subsequent self-destruction that these Zetas were prone to. To prevent me from repeating myself too much, there's a link on screen and in a pinned comment for more information on the Zeta. Next up, we have a pretty thick boy from the One-Year War era, the Juagu, or Juag. This support unit, keeping up with machines from the Grips War and first Neo-Zeon War, seems pretty unlikely. But it did. Originally constructed late into the One-Year War, they were specifically made to assault Jaburo. They had thick armor to resist the many base defenses, which really showed when it was almost unfazed by a Nemo's beam saber. And when it came to offense, this thing was no slouch either. On each arm is a triple missile launcher, and on the torso are either 4 megaparticle cannons or 4 beam guns. So where were these machines when the attack on Jaburo happened? Well, because Char jumped the gun and decided to attack Jaburo much earlier after he'd found a secret entrance, these machines simply weren't ready in time. As of now, no known units ever participated in battle during the One-Year War, but because they were constructed at the California base, some might have been deployed in its defense. Regardless, the few units that did exist were either mothballed or made their way into Neo-Zeon hands. Almost 2 decades after it was constructed, this machine wasn't just able to show its power, but made us all wonder what would have happened if it was present during the attack on Jaburo. While many of the machines on this list performed well against other grunts, the Gelgoog was able to go head-to-head with Gundams. Introduced at the end of the One-Year War, the high-performance Gelgoog was meant to turn the tide in Zeon's favor, but a shortage of capable pilots meant that many Gelgoogs underperformed. This was truly exemplified by the performance many years later. During the first Neo-Zeon War, a single Gelgoog A-type was able to hold its own against the Gundam team. It wasn't until Judo showed up and formed the Double Zeta Gundam that they were able to beat it.
Judo! 何やってたの?
そりゃこっちのセリフだ。あんな旧式一気に何やってるの?
Shortly thereafter, they would face off against another Gelgoog belonging to the blue team, and again, they would have a hard time. The battle ended with the blue team's defeat, but the Gelgoog was still repairable to some degree and was again thrust into battle.
スペアはあるのか?
これが最後です。
直接つなごう。焼き切れるかもしれないが。
持ちませんよ。
膝が曲がらんよりはマシだ。
はい。
Due to the usual Zeon infighting, the blue team's supposed allies attacked the city that they were desperately trying to defend. The lone and damaged Gelgoog was now up against a squadron of rampaging desert Zakus, and he took them all out one by one. The second encounter with the Gundam team would be its undoing.
危ない！グレミー！
テロ！
しくじったか！
One important caveat is that the blue team's Gelgoog wasn't an original Zeon unit, but rather a replica made with Federation technology. And that is all for this video on 5 outdated machines that actually performed well. Universal Century version. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below and stay tuned for the alternate universe version of this video. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters, and I hope you all have a great day. See you all next time.